Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a moment about something powerful, something life-changing, something that can completely redefine who you are by the end of this year. I call it the 180-Day Successful Plan in 2026. Now listen to me closely, because success is not magic, it is not luck, and it is not reserved for a chosen few. Success is a decision you make and a commitment you keep. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack a plan. They wake up every day reacting instead of directing. They let circumstances control them instead of setting a vision and walking toward it. If you give your life 6 months of intentional effort, focused effort, disciplined effort, you can shock yourself with what you become. The first thing you must do in these 180 days is get clear. Clarity is everything. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. You have to decide what success looks like for you. Not for your friends, not for social media, not for society, but for you. Write it down. Speak it out loud. See it in your mind every single day. When your vision is clear, your decisions become easier and your energy becomes stronger. Now let me tell you something real. Motivation will not carry you for 180 days. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline is what shows up when motivation disappears. Discipline is doing what you said you would do even when you don't feel like it. If you can master self-discipline for 6 months, you can master life. Get up when you said you would. Work when you said you would. Study, pray, train, and improve even on the days you're tired. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real about clarity, because clarity is the starting point of every successful life. Most people are not confused because they are incapable. They are confused because they have never taken the time to decide what they truly want. They wake up every day letting the world decide for them. They move based on pressure, opinions, trends, and fear instead of purpose. When you don't have clarity, you drift, and drifting feels safe, but it quietly steals your future. Clarity means you sit down and have an honest conversation with yourself. It means you ask, what do I want my life to look like 6 months from now? What kind of person do I want to become? What do I want my finances, my mindset, my health, and my faith to look like? Until you answer those questions, you are just busy, not productive. Being busy does not mean you are moving forward. Clear direction turns effort into progress. Once you have clarity, your energy changes. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision. When your vision is clear, distractions lose their power. You begin to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. That's maturity. That's growth. Clarity teaches you what to focus on and what to walk away from without guilt. Let me tell you something important. Clarity doesn't mean everything will be easy. It means everything will make sense. You will still struggle. You will still get tired. But now, your struggle has a reason. Your sacrifice has a purpose. When you know why you're doing something, you can tolerate the how. People who quit early usually didn't quit because it was hard. They quit because they forgot why they started. Clarity also builds confidence. When you know where you're going, you stop comparing yourself to others. You don't need validation. You don't need approval. You don't need applause. You are no longer confused by other people's success because you are focused on your own assignment. Everybody doesn't have the same path, and clarity helps you respect that. You stop rushing because you understand timing. You stop panicking because you understand process. Here's another truth. Clarity forces responsibility. Once you are clear, excuses no longer work. You can't blame your past, your parents, your circumstances, or your environment. When you know what you want, every decision either moves you closer or pushes you further away. That awareness is powerful. It makes you more intentional with your time, your money, and your relationships. You start protecting your vision because you finally understand its value. Clarity also strengthens your faith. When you are clear about your purpose, you can pray with confidence. You are no longer asking randomly. You are asking specifically. You are aligning your actions with your prayers. Faith becomes active, not passive. You stop waiting on miracles and start working toward them. God can guide a moving person much easier than a stagnant one. Let me be honest with you. Clarity requires silence. You cannot hear your purpose in noise. Sometimes you have to step back, unplug, and get quiet. Not everybody will understand this season of focus. Some people will feel uncomfortable when you stop explaining and start executing. That's okay. Growth often looks lonely before it looks successful. When clarity enters your life, momentum follows. Small wins start stacking up. You feel progress not overnight but daily. You begin to trust yourself again because your actions match your intentions. That's a powerful feeling. That's how confidence is rebuilt. Not by talking, but by doing what you said you would do. If you give yourself clarity, real clarity, your next 180 days won't just change your results. They will change your identity. You won't just be chasing success anymore. You'll be walking in purpose, and that makes all the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about discipline, because discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. A lot of people think they need more motivation to succeed, but motivation is emotional and temporary. Discipline is a decision you make even when your emotions are not on your side. If you are serious about changing your life in the next 180 days, discipline is not optional, it is required. Discipline starts with keeping small promises to yourself. Most people break their own word every day and don't even realize it. They say they will wake up early, and they don't. They say they will work on their goals, and they postpone it. Over time, that habit weakens self-trust. Discipline rebuilds that trust. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen your confidence and your character at the same time. Let me be clear with you. Discipline does not mean you feel good all the time. It means you do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. There will be mornings you don't want to get up. There will be days you don't feel inspired. That's normal. Successful people are not special. They are consistent. They show up when it's boring. They show up when it's uncomfortable. They show up when no one is watching. Discipline also teaches you how to manage your time. Time is the most expensive thing you own, and once it's gone, you can't get it back. When you are disciplined, you stop wasting hours on distractions that add no value to your life. You begin to plan your days instead of reacting to them. You assign your time to activities that move you forward. That's how progress becomes predictable. Here's another truth. Discipline requires sacrifice. You can't have everything. You have to choose. Every time you say yes to comfort, you are often saying no to growth. Every time you avoid discomfort, you delay your success. Discipline is choosing long-term reward over short-term pleasure. That decision, repeated daily, changes everything. Discipline also strengthens your mind. When you push yourself to do hard things, your mind becomes tougher. You stop quitting at the first sign of difficulty. You stop making excuses. You develop resilience. And resilience is priceless because life will test you. Problems will come. Setbacks will happen. Discipline gives you the strength to stand firm and keep moving forward. Let me tell you something important. Discipline does not mean perfection. You will make mistakes. You will miss days. You will fall short sometimes. The disciplined person is not the one who never fails, but the one who gets back on track quickly. They don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. They correct, adjust, and continue. Discipline also brings freedom. That might sound strange, but it's true. When you are disciplined with your money, you experience financial peace. When you are disciplined with your health, you experience energy. When you are disciplined with your time, you experience control over your life. Discipline removes chaos and replaces it with order. Over the next 180 days, discipline will challenge you to become someone you've never been before. It will demand more from you than you are used to giving. But in return, it will give you results you've never had before. When discipline becomes part of who you are, success is no longer a hope, it becomes a habit. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about daily habits, because your life is not built in big moments, it is built in small, repeated actions. Most people wait for a breakthrough, but breakthroughs are usually the result of habits that were practiced quietly over time. What you do every single day is shaping who you are becoming, whether you realize it or not. Your habits are speaking for you even when you are silent. Every morning you wake up, you are stepping into a routine that either moves you closer to your future or keeps you stuck in your past. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. That's why talent alone is never enough. You can have big dreams, But if your daily habits don't support those dreams, frustration becomes your reality. Success doesn't ask what you want, it asks what you do consistently. Let me make this clear. Habits don't change overnight. They are built through repetition, patience, and commitment. At first, the effort feels heavy and the results feel invisible. That's where most people quit. They don't quit because habits don't work. They quit because habits don't work fast enough. But everything worthwhile in life grows slowly. Just like planting a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You water it, you protect it, and you trust the process. Daily habits shape your mindset. What you feed your mind daily becomes your dominant thought. If you wake up and immediately consume negativity, complaints, and distractions, your mind becomes cluttered and weak. But if you start your day with learning, gratitude, prayer, or reflection, your mind becomes focused and strong. A strong mind creates strong decisions, and strong decisions create a strong life. Your habits also shape your discipline. You don't suddenly become disciplined one day. Discipline is trained through small actions done daily. Choosing to work for 30 minutes when you don't feel like it. Choosing to read instead of scroll. Choosing to prepare instead of procrastinate. These small choices may not feel powerful in the moment, but over time they create momentum. Momentum is what makes progress feel easier. Let me tell you something important. Your habits reveal your priorities. You may say something is important to you, but your daily actions tell the truth. If growth is important, you will invest time in it. If your future is important, you will protect it with better choices. Habits don't lie. They show you exactly where your focus is going. Daily habits also affect your confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, your self-respect grows. When you break promises to yourself, doubt starts to creep in. Confidence is not built by loud talk or external praise. It is built by private wins. It's built when you do the work when no one is watching. Over 180 days, those private wins turn into visible results. Your habits influence your environment too. When you change what you do daily, the people around you notice. Your conversations change. Your standards change. Your tolerance for excuses drops. Some people will be inspired by your growth. Others may feel uncomfortable. That's a sign that you are evolving. Growth always creates separation before it creates success. The truth is, you don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do something every day. Small improvements done consistently will outperform big efforts done occasionally. When you commit to the right habits for the next 180 days, you are not just working on your goals, you are building a new identity. And once your habits change, your life has no choice but to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about faith in action, because believing without doing will never change your life. A lot of people say they have faith, but faith is not just what you say, it's what you do. Faith is movement. Faith is effort. Faith is waking up every day and acting like what you believe is already on the way. When faith and action work together, impossible situations begin to shift. You can't sit around waiting for everything to line up perfectly before you start. Perfection is a lie that delays progress. If you wait until you feel ready, you will never move. Faith steps out even when the path is not fully visible. It trusts that clarity will come as you walk, not before you walk. That's how growth happens. That's how doors open. Let me be honest with you. Faith will be tested in the waiting season. There will be moments when you are doing the right things, but you're not seeing results yet. That's where most people give up. They assume nothing is happening because nothing is showing. But just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't being made. Roots grow before fruit appears. Faith is continuing to work even when you feel unseen and unrewarded. Action is your responsibility. You can pray for success all day long, but if you don't prepare, if you don't learn, if you don't put in the effort, nothing changes. God will bless effort. God will bless consistency. God will bless courage. Faith without action becomes wishful thinking. Action without faith becomes exhausting, but when you combine the two, you create power. Faith also gives you peace while you work. It keeps you from panicking when things move slowly. It reminds you that delays are not denials. It helps you stay calm when results don't match your expectations yet. When you trust the process, you stop rushing. You stop forcing outcomes. You focus on doing your part with excellence and let the rest unfold in its time. Action, on the other hand, builds confidence. Every step you take forward reinforces your belief. You stop doubting yourself because you see proof of your effort. Even small actions matter. Making the call, sending the application, starting the project, showing up again. Those actions may feel insignificant in the moment, but over time they stack up and create momentum. Let me tell you something important. Faith doesn't remove fear. It teaches you how to move with fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's obedience in the presence of fear. You will feel afraid sometimes. You will feel uncertain. That doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It means you're growing. Faith gives you the strength to move forward anyway. Faith and action also shape your character. They teach patience, humility, and resilience. They remind you that success is not just about results. It's about who you become in the process. When you commit to working faithfully every day, even when no one is applauding, you develop integrity. And integrity will take you places talent alone never could. Over the next 80 days, faith will require you to trust what you cannot see, and action will require you to do what is uncomfortable. Together, they will stretch you, challenge you, and transform you. When you stay faithful to the work and committed to the process, your life begins to align with the future you've been believing for. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about focus, because focus is the difference between dreaming and achieving. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because their attention is divided. They start something, then they stop. They get excited, then they get distracted. They want results, but they keep giving their energy to things that don't matter. Focus is what turns effort into results. When you are focused, you know what deserves your attention and what does not. You stop reacting to everything around you. Every notification, every opinion, every distraction no longer controls your mood or your movement. You begin to understand that not everything needs a response. Silence becomes a strategy. Calm becomes strength. Focus gives you control over your time and your mind. Distractions are subtle. They don't always look harmful. Sometimes they come disguised as comfort, entertainment, or other people's problems. But every distraction steals time, and time is your life. When you are serious about success, you start guarding your attention like it's valuable, because it is. You stop letting small things pull you away from big goals. Let me be real with you. Focus will require you to say no. And saying no is uncomfortable for people who want to please everyone. You can't be everywhere, do everything, and still be excellent at what matters most. Focus demands priorities. It asks you to choose what matters now instead of what feels good now. That choice separates achievers from talkers. Focus also protects your energy. When you're constantly switching tasks, constantly checking distractions, your mind gets tired faster. But when you give your attention to one thing at a time, your productivity increases. You work better, not harder. You think clearer, you move with purpose. That's how progress accelerates. Another thing about focus is this: it helps you ignore noise. When you are building something meaningful, people will have opinions. Some will doubt you. Some will criticize. Some will misunderstand your silence. Focus teaches you not to explain yourself to everyone. Results speak louder than arguments. Growth doesn't need an announcement. Focus also strengthens discipline. When you know exactly what you are working toward, it's easier to resist temptation. You stop trading your future for temporary comfort. You understand that every distraction you resist is a step closer to your goal. That awareness changes how you move daily. Let me tell you something important. Focus doesn't mean you never rest. It means when you rest intentionally. And when you work intentionally. There's a difference between rest and distraction. Rest refuels you. Distraction drains you. Focus teaches you that balance is not doing everything. It's doing the right things at the right time. Focus also builds confidence. When you commit your attention to one direction, you start seeing progress. Progress builds belief. Belief builds momentum. You stop doubting yourself because you can see evidence of growth. That's powerful. That's motivating in a real way. Over these 180 days, focus will challenge you to let go of habits, people, and patterns that no longer serve your future. That's not loss, that's alignment. You are not missing out, you are locking in. Every moment of focus is an investment in the person you are becoming. When you learn to focus, distractions lose their power over you. Your mind becomes calmer. Your actions become intentional. Your progress becomes visible. And when focus becomes a habit, success stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about consistency, because consistency is what makes everything else work. You can have clarity, discipline, good habits, faith, and focus, but without consistency, none of it lasts. Consistency is showing up even when nothing exciting is happening. It is doing the work on ordinary days. And ordinary days, repeated long enough, create extraordinary results. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in 6 months. They start strong, full of energy and excitement, but when progress feels slow, they quit. Consistency teaches you patience. It reminds you that success is not built in bursts, it's built in layers. Every small effort you repeat is laying another brick in your future. Consistency is not about intensity, it's about reliability. You don't have to do everything perfectly, you just have to keep going. Some days your effort will be strong, some days it will be weak, but showing up matters more than how you feel. Progress doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for persistence. When you understand that, pressure leaves and commitment stays. Let me tell you something important. Consistency builds trust, especially trust in yourself. When you keep showing up, even on days when motivation is gone, you prove to yourself that you can be depended on. That self-trust changes how you see challenges. You stop doubting your ability to finish because you have evidence that you don't quit easily. Consistency also protects you from excuses. When something becomes part of your routine, you don't debate it anymore. You don't argue with yourself about whether or not to do it. You just do it. That removes mental fatigue. Decision-making becomes easier. Life becomes simpler. You save energy for growth instead of wasting it on hesitation. Consistency teaches humility. It reminds you that success is not about one big moment. It's about respecting the process. You learn to be patient with yourself. You learn to keep working even when applause is absent. That quiet commitment builds character. Character lasts longer than motivation. Another powerful thing about consistency is momentum. When you stay consistent, momentum starts working in your favor. What once felt hard begins to feel natural. Discipline turns into habit. Effort turns into flow. You realize you are no longer forcing yourself. You are becoming the person who does these things naturally. Consistency also helps you recover faster from setbacks. When you are consistent, one bad day doesn't break you. You don't spiral. You don't quit. You adjust and continue. Consistency gives you resilience. It keeps you grounded when things don't go as planned. Let me be honest with you. Consistency will test your patience more than your strength. There will be long stretches where it feels like you are giving more than you are receiving. That's where growth is happening. That's where your foundation is being built. People who win in life are the ones who stay consistent in the unseen seasons. Over 180 days, consistency compounds. Small actions repeated daily create massive change. Your mindset improves, your confidence grows, your results start to show, not because you did something extreme, but because you refuse to stop. When you commit to consistency, success stops being something you chase and starts being something you attract. You become reliable. You become steady. You become unstoppable, not because you are perfect, but because you never give up.